Blessed morning. My name is Antonia Valier, and welcome to my show, The Veranda Conversations. I hope everyone is coping, and I just wish everyone the best. I am also going through a spiritual and physical warfare, so I'm definitely telling people to be strong, and for those individuals who are I know some people are not Christian, they don't probably have no faith, but we definitely in this time, individuals need to come together, help out each other in what they're going through. And it's a very tough time. Let me fix this. Sorry about that. Should have fixed it before. But yeah, it's very rough. It's very challenging. There's like good and bad. There's so much happening in the news, and we're not going to stop talking about it. And there's some positives that are happening, but negative always overshadow good sometime. But when we have the platform, you can speak about it. Take the opportunity to speak about those individuals who are doing well. So big them up. More big up Amazai the Great, a young man who is really pushing out. He is really doing well. He's a multimedia creator of his own show. Big up the Caribbean Youth Voices. They're currently having a show on. Yeah, I wanted to be on. Like, it's every Tuesday. So it's kind of rough for me to be on here and be here as well. So, yeah. Big up Max on it, big up Wise Word, big up the whole poetry fraternity, big up all our Facebook, you see me? Big up everybody that is tuning in and supporting, the growth in whatever way possible. Some people share, some people comment, some people send, encouraging words. We give God thanks, and we give thanks to people, and we give thanks for people across the world, whether Jamaica or in the Caribbean and across the world, who is really taking the opportunity to reach out to a lot of people. Right now, most people can reach out on the internet. That's the best way, you see me? Recently, I was on this show, Harlem Book Fair, and it was a great honor. So, I big up Bob McNeil and Max Rodriguez. And I must tell you, when Bob sent me the email, no, he sent me a messenger first. Not first. He was like, I inviting you to be on the panel. And at first I was like, yeah, I don't know, Sometimes you're late, I wasn't sure. And I'm like, it's been a while since I've been on anything, really. I've been coming off like a 3 months, hibernation, if I can put it that way. Having some schoolwork and stuff like that. But I was like, why not? Definitely to represent oneself, represent one art, represent country, represent family. I'm always up for that. So it was a great panel discussion, meeting and learning from other people. And, a lot of people said they were blessed by the discussion. And definitely it helped in public speaking. Public speaking is so hard, even though you're on, in internet, it's very challenging. But, it's one of those skills that we're learning. And especially in the pandemic, a lot of people are forced to adapt, and I don't see it as something bad. I see it as something very good, because we have been using the media a lot and learning a lot about it, So, I mean, there's good to it, and we definitely move in a technological world, so you have to adapt. And if you have the technology, it's good that sometimes you sit down and try to learn as much as possible that you can. Anyways, some of discussion today is corporal punishment versus abuse. It was triggered by basically discussion in news, because a 4-year-old basically died. The stepfather basically beat that child for 2 hours. Mother intervened and she got some beating as well. And so the discussion come where the government said they're going to ban corporal punishment. And obviously that sparked a whole heap of discussion. And then there was another case where a 7-year-old where she was also beaten, and basically she was dead before them carry her got to the hospital. And after autopsy and stuff like that, it was concluded that, you know, blunt force trauma. Yeah. So I'm just I give my two cents. As I say, I'm not a parent, but I'm a child of my mother, and I see how she raised children, and obviously as a young person, we know how young people stay, and parenting is definitely one of the hardest jobs in the world. It's very difficult. You know, a lot of people are opting out of parenting. So let's get into it. So corporal punishment is they call it the big word for it, what we call discipline in Jamaica. And I understand the psychology of when people say why them don't like corporal punishment or beating or discipline in that sense is because they associate it with a certain level of psychology that, you know, eventually people grow up and believe that when they get beaten, it's right. You know, when me get to understand, you know, I'm just 29 years of age, my hurt. But when me understand, you know, because everything of a psychology to it and everything can be associated with something, you know what I mean? So I understand that. But then again, we have to do some research on that because I did get, you know, discipline, and I'm not a violent person. I mean, naturally, I believe all human beings are violent by nature. You know, I think that we definitely have, what them say, what flight and whatever. So I mean, if you know, if you're put to the test, definitely you're going to react. So I think that human beings are naturally they have a self-defense mechanism that is a part of them. And, you know, everybody makeup is different in the sense that some people, you know, probably them get freeze or them froze when while some people react. I think that would be a discussion of, you know, there's a philosophical discussion whether knowledge is innate or is it a blank slate. For me, I believe that there are some things that pass through our DNA, right? You see me? So there's everything that passed through your DNA. Because sometimes you do things and it's the first time you're doing it, and you wonder, oh, did I do it so well? Because I think it has something to do your DNA, you know what I mean? And that can be proven because, for example, they always, oh, Jamaicans run so fast. And they, you know, they link it back to our African brothers and sisters. That is something inside of us. And then, so definitely that is a philosophical discussion of whether knowledge is innate or you know, or it's a blank slate. You don't born with anything. You're just blank. And so I understand that, but I don't really believe that. You know, I don't believe say because, as I said, corporal punishment versus abuse. And we view corporal punishment as discipline. So the idea that you get a little slap on your hand, normally when you get a slap, now the normal parent will slap in Jamaica. They don't just slap you. You even yourself know say you do something wrong, you know. Because normally you look around for your parent when you do something wrong. So we know we are growing that way, you see me? So normally when you do something wrong and your parent call them ask you, why did you do that? And then you look up and you might say you don't know or you admit, or, you know, depends on the child, because we have some children in Jamaica, and this is a reality, you know. You know, we have to fit strategy to reality. You know, sometimes these theory things that they have, it don't match reality. And the truth of the matter is that, unfortunately, we are an indisciplined nation, and I can't speak for other nations about their children, but we do have children here where them behavior is out of this world. Like you have parents frustrated, you know. I've met children where like them just terrible. I mean, then when I meet them parent and, you know, get to know them, I'm like, this is such a good parent. Why the child is so terrible? But that's the reality. You know, not everybody was meant to be parents. Not every child is going to born in, you know, this nice good way that people want. Like it's full time we wake up to the reality that, you know, things don't go as planned, and, you know, environment also play an impact in how people view the world and how people interact with other people. So sometimes, if a child is born in an environment, like for example, I don't want to pick on the ghetto, but I mean, it normally, because you have children where have bad behavior from different sector of society. Some people just hide them children bad behavior, but it is generally viewed. And what I'm going to say is that if a child is coming from an environment where they might hear be a gunshot and everything does look grim, and grimy, and that child come to school, I am not saying that you must beat that child to beat them to death. Definitely, it can't be just a case where you just beat them just like that. It should be a conversation, but you would have to come with an approach where and this is the important thing with the problem in Jamaica. Like everybody has a ban corporal punishment, but I'm saying ban it and then what next? When we still gonna have terrible parents, we still gonna have terrible children. You need to think about the psychology of why a child is behaving or them behaving. Is it a case that they were molested or raped? We need more psychologists in the schools. We need that approach in terms of raising children. We need more parenting class. Yeah, we need some conflict resolution to be a part of our education system. There's so much I believe that that needs to be implemented, which in terms of structure. Some things don't even cost no money. It's about the approach. A lot of people don't know like about parenting. Like we just have children. Obviously, yes, most people they weren't taught, but I get that. But some people kind of them learn along the way and them do a good job. But some people don't do a good job. Like these are things that we have to put in place. And I made a statement recently on Facebook in regards to this same discussion, where I was saying that a lot of these children are unwanted children. That's why it leads to abuse. In truth and in fact, they were born by accident and then become a burden to them parents. Because true parents, when them have a problem with them child, it's normally a case where you don't beat that child. You're not going to take 2 hours and beat that child. I just find that that's insane. That's obviously abuse. And I think people are mixing up the term between discipline and abuse. Discipline is a method where you're telling somebody that something is wrong. You understand? Versus abuse, where it's obviously you're doing it out of hate. You're doing it out of hate, doing it out of revenge. You're doing it to hurt them. Discipline is not something to hurt. It's a teaching moment. I got disciplined when I was younger. And the first time you get discipline, me not get discipline again because it was enough for me to overstand certain things. So I was that child who really give trouble or anything like that. What's so funny about this, I have 3 brothers, right? And the brother that who he get discipline, but I mean he never get it as a lot like other brothers them. He didn't turn out to be like a menace to society. So I can understand, like based on seeing that and experiencing that, I can understand certain parents when they're saying, oh, they have a child and that child, oh, like that child get them so frustrated, that child make them have mental, breakdown, them have nervous breakdown. Like these are things that a lot of people will come on social media especially and will criticize people when they make certain decision and certain tough love, like as if we don't understand. So my personal experience with my brother, if I was to tell you about him and about his behavior, like his behavior is beyond. And the truth of matter is that we live in a hype culture, and everything them do, them follow other people, and them do it for hype, and them do it to show off, and for some weird reason, everything that is bad, most young people take on to it because the truth is that our minds is still undeveloped, and this is why we need good parents to guide us, right? So a lot of children, them, don't have no manners. I'm not saying that's the case for this 4-year-old, definitely not. It's obviously that is plain abuse. It is just that it comprises a whole heap of different things. That's what the case to me is. We're just focusing on one thing, but it come down to many things. As I listened to the mother when she did that interview, you get to a place to understand that she was in a deep place where she's suffering, right? And she don't have no place to live, and she meet this man, and this man immediately, I think, was it Abraham Lincoln who said that if you want to know the true character of a man, give him power. You see me? If you want to know the true character of any person, right, give them a position of power, and you will find how brutal they are. Many people say, "Oh, I grew up with John. I know that he's probably rich and famous, or he has a car or whatever." He start to mistreat people. The thing is that he has always been that way. It's just that he didn't have anything to exude that type of behavior. And so now that he has it, so this is the case with this man. The truth is that he has power because he's providing a home. So he's like, in his mindset, she's depending on me. I have something that she wants, right? You know that famous song, the Eurythmics? How does it? How does line go? Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be abused by you. I remember the first time I heard that song, I was very small, like probably 8 or whatever. And I heard the words and I said, whoa, what a song. And I grew up and now I fully understand the song. And I said to myself, some of them want to use you, some of them want to be used by you. So which side are you on? So I meet a lot of people, they immediately want to use you, they want to abuse you, they want to mistreat you. And that's what's happening because they have a sense of power over you. Not necessarily you gave them that power, it's not a case that you gave them any direction, but they feel their own perception. This is why it even extends to all these racism, sexism, all of them is power. It's dealing with, it's a sense of power, it's a sense of hatred, and a sense of control. All of these different, some of these systems is about control, right? So when people have power or they have some kind of leverage or certain privilege, instead of, they look on other human beings as equal, they start to look down because they must say, I have something more than you. Bless the person who have things and see it as what it is, things, they are vanity. This house that I'm living in right now, I'm very appreciative of it. But that's what I see it as, an house at this moment for where I am supposed to live, and I give God thanks for it. But I don't use it to exalt myself or exalt over someone else. Definitely, I would protect it, if it was under attack. But to say that I'm walking around with a chip on my shoulder, definitely not, because them say it hard to rise but easy to fall. So a lot of people walking around, with a chip on them shoulder because them have vanity and they're using it as a way, to control others. And sometimes it come from a place of them own inadequacy, them feeling like a lot of people they earn things to feel important, you know, and that's just the truth. So that definitely that child was abused, and I can't speak for the mother, I can't speak for what was going on with her, during that time. But I just find it weird for that child to be 2 hours worth of beating from this person, that level of anger and hatred. So I mean, as I said, this come to a lot of things. It talk about parenting, it talk about power, it talk about when people are in certain situation, the resources of any country is its people. And the vulnerable, them always say, if you want to know the growth of any country, look at how it treat it vulnerable. We go deeper than that. You know, when you're in a home, how do you treat your vulnerable? How do you treat your grandmother? How do you treat somebody who you know that they having issues? Big up Dub Reggae and Emmanuel, big up yourself. Thanks for tuning in. Right? How do you treat these individuals? So the view that corporal punishment need to be banned and it is the cause of why these people are murdering their children, to me, is one of those things where we always look for the surface. We never go to the root. The root cause. And root cause is many things. People are having children and they are not prepared to have children. They have no idea of parenting. So most of these children are unwanted. Most children, they're by accident. I look around, places, and I saw this comment, and I saw it. I remember one time, I don't know, as big as I am, the only reason I go up on the road is for specific reason, and especially in the night, like 10, 11, 12 o'clock. And I remember one time I was on the road late, and I don't remember why I was on the road late, but I remember me and my mother was on the road late, and we were walking out, and there was a group of children. Me, I thought like 15 children. We were so shocked. And we had to ask him, like, why are you? And I saw like a little boy, him look like 3 or 4, and I was saying, so my mom was saying, like where is his parents? Where are their parents? And these are not street children. These are children who live in a home. Them have parents. And we see it all the time, like numerous time in all of my circle. Like I see, Pitney run up and down, 10, 12, 1 o'clock. Me just all wake out of my bed at 2 o'clock and see all the child. I'm like, why is he not in his home? Like, where is his mother? Where is his father? And, people say, oh, children will be children, boys will be boys, and, children must less rules and whatever. I mean, even as grown human beings like us, our behavior have to be regulated, much less children who don't understand in the whole thing about the world at the moment. Like people are moving so freely, like they're not aware of the dangers, that lurks outside. I mean, children can be just get kidnapped, like whoa, like all heap of things can happen. Like you have to teach your children to be vigilant in terms of abuse. You have to teach your children to be aware of their surroundings from an early age. The reality is that whatever country you live in or the community, children have to, and they have it. That's the thing, children do have a high sense of reality, It's just that they need to be nurtured and guided. Because I remember from an early age, my mother used to talk to me about things, right? Talk to me about neighbors, talk to me about the world, how it is. Obviously, I didn't take it as like, oh, that's how the world is. I did go to see it for myself, but I was still on guard and aware that as I said, I did a video recently where I spoke about when I was walking on the road and a gentleman was in his vehicle and he called me and said, oh, him have something like probably a sweets. And I stand up and I ask him why, because from an early age, my mother told me like, be careful of people who are offering you food. Be careful of, strange people you don't know. Even as grown as I am, if someone come to my house right now, people who me know a long time now, even 20, 30 years, and them come and them be like, oh, I come to speak to your mother. I'll be like, oh, she's not here. And I don't want me, I just, barely want me door and I say, she's not here. And they'll be like, okay, I leave this message or whatever. I don't tell them, I don't invite them in. Because people will be people, that's the truth. People are, you don't know, them say, you don't see the heart of a man, And when I say man, I mean mankind. I don't mean literal just man alone, It's a phrase. So you don't see the heart of humankind, because people will hide. I've watched all Unsolved Mysteries and all these programs numerous times, and they say, oh, this neighbor is the most quietest person, or she's the most quietest person, and then all of a sudden them find dead body or children murdered or whatever. And I'm not saying this to scare anybody, but you know, you have to be recognize the world that you live in, and you have to raise your children as aware human beings, and you have to raise them spiritually aware, physically aware. You know, you can't raise them blindly. You know, so you can't say, oh, every human being nice out there. Every human being is not nice out there. And you know, especially women, when you go into relationship, like like how is this man going to treat my child? These are no matter how in a situation of desperate. Because I mean, what is it? What does it cost to lose your life? If you lose your life, you're dead. You know, you don't have no more hope. You don't have no more living. And for what? Right? Like, Mr. Big up my mother who, you know, she struggled through and she raised up to the best of her ability, you know. And to me, people will have to raise children how them see fit in a very proper, legal, and you know, conscious way, definitely. So I don't promote abuse of no kind. I know the difference between abuse and discipline or corporal punishment, and I think this is where the lines have been blurred. You know, people calling things right wrong and wrong right. Like I don't say, oh, people could not see corporal punishment as discipline. Like everybody know what it is. You know, you get a slap on your hand, you get a little beating. I mean, the minute something start to go to your flesh, you know, or you start get wheel up and things start. Obviously, it past the state now. It's abuse. So everybody running and say, oh, ban corporal punishment. I can say, you know, go ahead, but you're missing one major important thing, you know, and it's the root cause of this problem. When are we going to discuss about parenting? It seems like we're running away from that major, like the elephant in the room. The truth of the matter is some people are just not good parents. And when are we going to address? When are we going to address that part about parenting? When are we going to address teenage pregnancy? When are we going to address the crime and violence culture? When are we going to address the danmanship? When are we going to address mental issues of people? When are these things the government is going to put programs and structures in place to make us be a wholesome human being? You know, them keep scratching at the surface. You get rid of corporal punishment, but you still have terrible children, you still have terrible parents. You still have people suffering from mental issues. People still out there, you know, committing acts of crime against children. Another aspect to it is a lot of children, they're molested from an early age. When are we going to talk about that issue? I was surprised to hear, is it the CDC that came out and said that I believe 70% since the lockdown, the pandemic, 70% of children have been, you know, violated. Yo, 70% is a lot. 70% is a lot. And you know, they say that they're overwhelmed with the amount of report, and yet there's many people who are not reporting. And recently we heard a case where obviously I don't know the truth about the case, but it's a something that happen regularly. So if it's not that case, there's many cases of where people are being molested, children being molested. You know, that pastor will molest that child, and then the mother cover it up, like, and that's been happening for years, you know, because I speak to my mother. My mother born 1960, right? And she's 60 now, and she met me know said that was like a regular thing in the country. Like, you get molested, you grow home to tell mommy or your granny, and them hush it up because it was shame on your family. It's funny how it's shame on you, the victim, and not shame on the perpetrator. And that is something in our culture that we need to get rid of. Why is it that the perpetrator seems to always walk scot-free? Why is it that the perpetrator seems, we have so much sympathy? Why is there so much sympathy for the perpetrator, but not the victims, not the people who have suffered? I always wonder that. It's very interesting, you know. You know, especially our vulnerable, you know, we're talking about children, we're talking about you know, people, yeah, you have some adults, they're going through abuse as well. Yeah, they might be adults, but I mean, people are suffering from different things that leave them in a place where they can't see them way out. And as I say, as I speak about power, people think them have power over you, and they use that to control you like a puppet on a string. These are things that we seem to overlook, and we don't want to get to the nitty and the gritty of the situations. Everybody's running up and down. Oh, get rid of corporal punishment. It's corporal punishment causing people to, children to die, and it's what's causing the crime and violence. Crime and violence have many roots. It have many perpetrators, and it have many sections and branches to it. Crime and violence is not one thing; it's many things. You could grow up with the best of parents and the best of situations, and you're still a criminal, right? As I speak about my brother, um, to me, he grew up in a perfect life. I mean, there's only one issue I would say. Yes, we grew up poor, and father left, but I mean, his situation wasn't like beyond yet. So, I made him grow up with the same mother under the same conditions, yet. So I can speak about that, speak about seeing someone from an early age, like them just rebel and him just say, a one way must stay, and that's the way that he wants to be, and say, well, if that's the way you want to be, you can't be around us because you're a danger to us. Your behavior and your lifestyle and your mindset, it's a danger to us. And many parents have children like these. And there's many human beings who are like these in the world for various reasons. Some people really set out themselves to be that way. I saw a discussion where it was saying that do people born bad, or are them set out to be bad? I believe so. Yes, I believe so. I believe that I'm not a biologist or one who study DNA, but if DNA can carry gifts and carry knowledge and carry things from your ancestors, why can't it carry bad behavior? There must be a gene for that. Why can it, if a generation is cursed, right? Probably it falls. So I mean, I don't see why it is so impossible. Like we keep arguing that it carry a lot of things, but it seems like, yeah, so people can born bad. People can also set out to be bad. I've met people set their mind and tell me, say, oh, other way than them a turn. I myself, I that apart from I was grown, but I set out from her, and this is something I'm going to confess. So my father's side of family, they're always drinking, or some of them rather. And because of that, I actually set out and said I will never drink alcohol. And I'm 29 and I've never drank alcohol. I've gone to many places and people are like, oh, you want? And I'm like, no, I don't drink alcohol and I don't smoke. And that was a personal thing. And this thing that I set out to do, I'm talking about a child from an early age. Me, I observed that and I said to myself, I will never drink alcohol because I don't want to be an alcoholic. And furthermore, as I get older, I said to myself, when I start to read up on the dangers of it, and I've met people and they'll be like, yo, live a little. And I'm like, that's not living for me. Like, I don't need that to have fun. I don't need that to live a little. Like, I find other things fun. And that's just me. So, and that's just all me set out to do it. And have I been stressed? Of course, I've been stressed. I've gone through things that probably one day I'll put it in a book and people will be surprised because, sometimes people are just shocked that people go through things across the world. You'll just, you won't believe things that people go through until probably you see it or you read a book or whatever they come tell you. But a lot of people are suffering across the world and they're going through things. And I can't speak about what leads someone to drink or smoke or take drugs or whatever. I'm not a professional in the field. Yeah, I've studied psychology and sociology and all those things, but I mean, someone who is trained in the field, they might tell you more about the human mind and what leads someone to that place, you know. But definitely, there's a difference between corporal punishment and abuse. And so corporal punishment is basically discipline. It's a teaching moment or teaching method. It's not to cause you harm in the sense that it is sent to the hospital or the funeral home. When it reach that level, that is definitely abuse, and it's telling me something about that parent and the mentality of that parent. And these are things that we need to address as a nation and as a country and as a government. I say kudos to the government trying to do something, readily, but at the same time, doing something quick and it don't solve the issue, it makes no sense. So banning corporal punishment to me not going to solve. And if you ban it, right? All those children were so terrible. Children who are boxed down teachers. I went to a school named Spanish Town. I am not giving my school a bad name now because I rate my school. It's because of that school I can stand firm in a Zion and we can stand firm on any journey. That school taught me so much, and I say if I can survive that school, I can survive any environment. Every time I look back, on things that we went through, we stand tall and we stand strong. And this is why I was able to go to a university where most people, worried and say, oh, when you go to university, you change and your mindset change. I went to university and my mindset changed for the better and the greater, not for the worse. I went there and I meet all type of people who are haters, people taking drugs, people doing this, people doing that. That never budged me. That never push me to go and do anything like that because my foundation in that sense is strong. The school do have a lot of issues that we're having now in Jamaica. I saw it in that because I see school, is like a mini society. It's everything what happening in school, it happening in wider society. It's what happening in wider society happening in school because you take what experience from your local community and bring it to school. So that's why I say it's like a mini society. So everything that I see happening in my society now, I saw it played out in school with children who had hunger problem, children who readily like the minute you and them have a discussion, you and them would just be talking and them take out a pencil like them want to stab you and kill you. And like, why are you so violent? Like I used to ask some of my classmates, why are you so angry? Why are you so violent? What's going on with you? Like we're just having a discussion. Like, it's just opinions, it's not that serious. Like, I mean, people arguing over. So this is why I don't like to argue over politics. I don't like to argue over religion. I don't like to argue over music. These three areas are like, I mean, these three areas can make you lose your life. That's what deep it is. You know what I mean? Like a couple years back, there was a KC student, I believe it was a Calabar student, was arguing over Beanie and Bounty. Like, I mean, these are two artists, and they're two great artists in their own right. And it led to one of the guys stabbing the other guy. I'm like, it's not that serious. Like, no, we have an argument between, I mean, that was a couple years back, Movada versus Cartel. No, it's 6 versus Anchorlines and 6 versus whoever. And I mean, like, to me, I love music, and to me, it's not that deep for nobody lose them life over. Religion is another thing too. I saw recently where an article was saying that the Saturday worshippers are now saying Sunday worshippers are devils and something. I read the article and I was like, okay. Once again, something of division and people, basically was fighting in the comment section. I'm like, people, it's not that serious, Like, why are everybody so hungry? Like, I get it. You want to get your opinion across. Yeah, but I mean, is it that serious that it leads to violence? It leads to people dying? Like, to me, our behavior, it's beyond. Right now, I even see animals behaving better than we right now. I see animals living, loving more than we as human beings. We claim so we have a brain and we have common sense. Like we're fighting over things in the long run, it's irrelevant. So somebody fighting over PMP and JLP, like every time I see it, them fighting over PMP, which is our political party in Jamaica. It's that serious. Like there was a time it was so violent. We have transformed, so thank God there's some transformation that have occurred. But in the 70s and the 80s, there was a time when people lost their lives because they had their own view, about the political party. If there was a JLP or a PNP, people actually died. Imagine that. It's just some ideology, and people are dying over ideology, right? And so I mean, these are things that, so we have to go to the nitty and the gritty of why some things are happening, right? So people are fighting over religion, them fighting over politics, them fighting over music. Even the recent incident with the Shakari girl, I mean, like I saw where like the US and the Jamaicans. I'm like, there's always been a rivalry, but I saw some comments and they were very disturbing. I'm like, well, we are still black people. Like, I get it, but the comments were very disturbing. I saw literally like if these people were face to face, I could see a lot of bloodshed. Like, I could see murder, and I'm like, whoa, it's sports. Like, really, I mean, it's just it's sickening and it's worrying that people could be fighting. And so I am saying that corporal punish versus abuse, we need to go deeper than that and find out the human behavior, the sociology of it. We need to understand our mindset. Why are people behaving the way that they're behaving? They're behaving like cannibals. Their behavior is of a cannibal. They're cannibalistic in their behavior, where they are so violent. And we are talking about different people of walks of life. Why is it that everybody wants to get their agenda and their views across, that we have to be warring? I don't get it. I really don't. Because I meet upon a lot of people and I will say something and they say, well, I disagree with that. And I say, well, we disagree to agree. I don't feel like I need to war them. I don't think I need to go and plot and murder them. Like, I think that's just psycho. That's psycho to me. That's crazy. And these are things that I'm seeing. Like, I see, like, right now, I tell you the truth. Like, if I'm on the road, I hardly even say anything. Like, most time, like, me listen, because it's not that I'm afraid, but it's more like it's a concern. Yes, it's a concern for my safety. I'm a concern for the person's safety too. Because if you go on the road right now and you have a difference of opinion, you might lose your life. That's how deep it is. And then we have this thing in the world where them call it cancel culture, and to me it's very concerning. Cancel culture, I mean, I see it as more like it's not helping anybody, it's not teaching people, and people are failing to understand that people come from different society and different cultures, and so their mindset and perception is different. I'm from Jamaica here, and I can definitely tell you that when I speak to individuals, I learn a lot from them, because I saw things, like, even now as I begin to read more, some things I get to understand more, and some things I don't agree with what's happening in the world. And I know that, if I was to voice my opinion on that, people would attack you. And I'm like, I don't see why it's necessary to lose your life, and I don't see why you have to be cancelled. It's not a case. Like, obviously, if something is wrong, like, it's plain, like, there's no argument. If something is wrong and you are defending it, then I will wonder. But some things are really a difference of opinion. I don't see why people have to be losing their life over it. So if you want to say, oh, if you want to say that you see that blue chair and I said to yourself, that blue chair look green to me. I mean, yeah, you see, probably colorblind or something, but I mean, it's not a case that we need to. Yeah, big up Anad. Greetings, my brother, big up. Let me see. Ever big up yourself. Learned behaviors, lack of effective communication, skills learned, helplessness, frustration, poverty, no purpose. Definitely everything is learned behavior. I won't disagree with that. Socialization has a lot to play. But then I ask you the question, if it's you always learn different behaviors, right? I would definitely say lack of effective communication. We definitely have a communication problem. I'm not going to dispute that. We have a conflict resolution problem too. Um, Helplessness and purpose. I find that to be some of the contributing factors indeed. Like you meet upon people and they're helpless and they have no purpose. And the pandemic proved that as well, you know. You know why the pandemic proved that? Readily, people message me and they tell me that they're bored. And they tell me they don't know what to do with themselves. And I said to myself, huh, this is interesting. The time that you have for yourself, you don't know what to do. So I said to them, said, you don't have any hobby? They're like, no. I'm like, you need to find a skill. You need to find. So a lot of people, they were working. Like work was their reason for living. Like them get up, so them get up probably 6 and then come home 10 or them come home 5. And they do that for the whole day. And they've been doing that for years. So the time now that things have shifted and all of a sudden you find time for yourself, these individuals start to realize, what was my purpose on earth? Like what am I doing? Like I've all this time and I don't know what to do. I don't want to watch TV at the moment, but I want to do something. And so definitely purpose, which come back to parenting again, because why I say come back to parenting. Your parents, my mother always said to me that there's 3 people in the world that can make or break you. These individuals are your parents, your teachers, and your pastor. It's either you have 2 or 3. I can say I experienced 3. And definitely if I didn't have a good mother, because I don't have a good father, but if I didn't have a good mother, I can't speak. I mean, yes, I grew up in a good church and I had good teachers, so probably they would take the place. But these individuals play a pivotal role in your development. They are the ones, them role is very important. They are the ones who impart a lot of knowledge, they impart a lot of behavior, a lot of oral tradition, like a lot of things that I can do is because of my mother. I can do them, because right now in society has lost a lot of things, especially for young people. Like right now, they must say young people buff-handed. That means that we are incapable of doing some things that are seen simple. I saw where this young man, I don't remember what his name, but is an African young man where him don't talk, but everything that seemed difficult, him show you how simple it is. So if it is to open a box, people are trying to use all kind of something when to open a box drink or whatever. And I find that to be kind of true, because sometimes I observe people and I'm like, why did you take that route to do that? Like this is how it's done. Like, weren't you taught? And then I start to realize, I'm privileged in that sense. I'm fortunate because I grew up with a mother who's from the country, and she taught me the old school way of doing everything in terms of cooking, washing, whatever. And so what I thought was the normal way of life, like I assumed that most young people knew it. I come to realize a lot of people don't know, and they are finding it very difficult, right? So you come back to parenting in terms of certain things that you're supposed to learn. And also your parents are your teachers or whoever sometimes are the first to notice certain gifts that you have, right? Yeah, most time, look at that young lady, oh man, I forgot her name. Oh, Avant Gade, wow, she's just wonderful, amazing. Who won the spelling bee. As I watch her videos on Instagram, I realized that she has wonderful parents. She's homeschooled. Her father, he takes her out to practice, basketball practice. And so I can only assume based on the videos, and I watched like a whole heap that day, like probably a whole like 20 or 30 videos. Like I was just amazed by her, how intelligent she was, how innocent she was as a child. It reminded me, I'm like, whoa, it's been a while since I've seen children so innocent and just she's just full of life. And it's amazing her name that she was given. It speaks to that. she's living up to her name. You know, I just wish her the best, definitely. But I say how wonderful her parents are because her father probably realized how gifted his child was. And so he worked on it, you know, make sure you have that fun to play basketball, and her mother, you know, homeschool her and whatever. And I said to myself, you know, a lot of parents or a lot of young people or people overall, they will tell you sometime, oh, you know, it was my mother or it was my coach or it was my teacher who saw that I had this gift. You know, Usain Bolt is a perfect example. He's playing cricket. A coach who is doing track and field or football or whatever, and he saw him and said, hey, you fit to do track and field. And he said, oh, I'm going to try it out. And we all know what result that is. What if this coach didn't say anything to him and he was just continue playing cricket? I mean, he could be a great cricketer today or maybe not. So, you know, your purpose, sometime, most of the time, I believe, your parents are the first one to identify it, and they're the ones who take on the responsibility to nurture it. Sometimes you, but I mean, not all children are going to know your purpose. And when you reach adulthood, um, that's a big thing. Most people don't know their purpose, which leads to helplessness. You know, there's a question that I was asked one time in an interview, and it's one of the most difficult questions to answer. Who are you? Who is Christina Williams or who is Antonia Valier? You know, apart from the mundane answers that I give, like, oh, I'm a poet, I'm an author. But when I go to the nitty gritty, who are you? When I start to speak about your personality, and the person asks, what are you good at? It's the most hardest thing to answer, you know? And I find that with a lot of people, we don't know our purpose, and so it leads to helplessness. Poverty, obviously, poverty will forever be something that hinders people in progress, but it's something you can fight through, and it depends on the type of poverty. So a lot of people like to put poverty this big broad heading, but poverty have different. So you have like seasonal poverty, that is an individual who, for example, 1 minute, like if they're in their job, 1 minute they have money, and the next minute their money, them spend off their money or whatever, them don't have no money, and so it becomes seasonal poverty. So in that season they them poor. And then you have some people where their poverty is extreme, where they do have no access to the basic amenities. That is the most extreme. So you have different types of poverty. So poverty is this big broad heading, but you have different types, and so it depends on what poverty we're talking about. And a lot of people was born into poverty, including myself. I'm not rich, so I don't have millions. There's a lot of things that I'm still going through, but I know where I'm coming from to where I'm at now. Definitely, I've passed certain levels, and I couldn't have done it without my family and without the mindset that we have of working hard and definitely taking the opportunities. Obviously, some countries, it's you know it's very difficult for them because of their system, their ideology of governance. So if it is that you're in India, for example, and they have their caste system where they say that in whichever situation that you're born, that's your destiny. Or in a case where countries where especially a woman, she don't have the right to get certain things. She have to get approval from her husband, her father, her uncle, her brother. Obviously, that is a case of poverty. Because you will never move forward. You could never do anything for yourself. And definitely in America, where people have racism, that always leads to poverty. And in Jamaica, we have something called classism. So you're judged based on your class. It's wrapped up with racism as well. I have also experienced classism and a bit of I won't say racism, but yeah, I mean it's there. It's more like prejudice. I would definitely say it's all of them is the same thing in my opinion. All of them come from a place of segregation and hate. It's come from a place of perception and power. It segregate people, and they put clause and laws in place to subject people to a state of helplessness and poverty. And I've experienced all of those things, all of them have experienced. So every country have something that them separate them people and put people in a place where you feel frustrated. You know what I mean? So every country have it. It depends on how you view it and how you experience it. So definitely it's there. Frustration. Now frustration is like human condition. When things going well, we're frustrated. So definitely ever those points are definitely there, but they're combined. I won't say them is single-handed by themselves because all these things you I'm sure every individual on planet Earth experience them. Communication is definitely something that is a big issue. Most marriages is the breakdown of communication and definitely financial, but most of the time it's miscommunication. Even sometimes you're on the phone. This is why sometimes even if somebody message me, I like to ask them back the question, are you certain is this what you mean? And they will laugh and I say, you know why I'm asking? It's because I don't want to misinterpret what you have written or what you have said. So I like to, ask, to just to be certain that we are on the same page, because I know that miscommunication is a very dangerous thing, right? You might tell me, say, oh, meet me at 9, but we weren't certain if it was 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. So I'm out there from 9 a.m. Wonder, no, I can't see, but it's 9 p.m. you meant. Like, these like miss up sometimes. Even recently when I did the panel discussion, the first thing I did was that because it's in the US and I'm in Jamaica, I immediately contacted the host and I said to him, say, what time is it for you? And I compared the time. And so I was able to know that when he said like 6, I was on by like 5. What if I didn't question you and then just went on 6 in my time? By that time, discussion over. So these are things that, these things happen. So definitely, that's my 2 cents about corporal punishment versus abuse. We have to identify what is corporal punishment and what is abuse before we ban it. Like we need to have a discussion about it. I know everybody's jumping up because a child died, and so everybody emotions all over the place. But my question to you is, after you ban it, what is it that we're going to do about children who are being molested? What is it that we're going to do about parents who are not good parents? What is going to do about children who have bad behavior? And we all, seems to glide over that. Like, what do we do with these children? What is our plan to alleviate the issues and to try to understand what's going on in people mindset? And some of them we already know already, because as I said, like, if you come from an environment of abuse, if you come from an environment where mother beat father, father beat mother, are in an environment where all you see is crime and violence, what is it that we expect from that child? Them say children live what they learn. As Eva said, learn behavior. Definitely. How do we help that child who is going through this definitely psychological trauma? Like, I was reading this article, and there's people who are suffering from PTSD, and basically it was mostly associated with people coming from war. But now they're saying that when they start to study people who have gone through domestic abuse, people who have been kidnapped, people who go through rape, they realize that they're exuding those same traits, and yet we're not in war. It would be viewed that we're not in war, or under that condition, but to me we are, because your environment, it is in such a toxic way that people start to become nervous, and trauma, trauma is a very dangerous thing. um I remember when my mom was very concerned when I got held up. A gunman held me up, and her biggest thing was like, she was just questioning me, how you feeling. She was just going through, like, she was wondering if should I ask a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And recently, what happened to her as well, um you know she's telling me about the trauma, and it's very dangerous. And people, that's another thing to mental issue. I see it coming out in social media where people are talking about it. To put highlight on it, but I haven't heard our government really speak about what they're going to do about that, because I don't like, is there any mental facility that we have? Is there places that you can go to seek these? I think there is, but I don't know if it's fully highlighted that people know. Everybody always hear about Bellevue where send mad people, and people assume that somebody's mad because they're wearing dirty clothes, or they're living on the street. If somebody's living on the street, more than likely they're homeless and not necessarily mad. So somebody can live in a house and be, mad, crazy, or they have, and mental issues, not only madness as people view it. There's bipolar, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's different things. It's things playing on your mind. There's a lot more to it. And there's a stigma. That's the biggest thing. There's a stigma to it, and so people are afraid to speak out, or they're afraid to seek help. It's not something like in Jamaica, for example, who will say that person didn't write it, right? I will make jokes and we laugh. And there was a survey that I don't remember the percentage, but they said good amount of Jamaicans, they're suffering from mental issues. And so, what are we going to do about that? And a lot of people, I meet a lot of people, and sometimes, them don't move right it because, things that they're saying, whatever, it's a grave concern. And obviously, and I'm not going to blame mental issue or blame like the devil, like most people, like everything that humans do, because I believe humans can take responsibility for their actions. It's not always a case of mental issue. I know that the gentleman who beat that 4-year-old, immediate people are like, he must mad, he must have suffered from mental issues. I'm gonna put it out there. It could be a case of him just plain wicked. I know that's hard for some people to believe, but there's people on planet Earth who are just plain greedy. There are people on planet Earth who are just plain wicked. They're not suffering from anything. They want to be like that. There are some people who use power to fund their wicked agenda. There's people out there, and I know that is hard for some people to believe. Like, I don't know if them just have it that every human being by nature we are good or something like that. But people are the way they are for different reasons. So, that's really my 2 cents. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. You can drop your view. You can disagree, definitely. And if there is any organization out there to help people, you can definitely comment it, because I mean, people out there need help. So any mental institution or the numbers to call to help individuals in different areas, people are going through abuse, definitely, drop a comment and, help people, definitely. Next week, I did say this week I was going to speak about sexuality, but because corporal punishment and, the abuse is in such, I had to say something about it. I had to give my 2 cents, but definitely, God's will, next week, I'll talk about sexuality, and you'll see it post up, right, what the discussion will be. Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. And, really appreciate the support in every way possible. And, give God thanks. And I hope everybody have a safe day. So big up on yourself. Yeah, next time.